Hello, my name is Bryan.D, and this is my final level for Introduction to Level Design. So this is where you start my level. You're on a beach, and as you can see, there's nowhere to go besides the water and these rocks, but there are, you can't cross the rocks. Um, and so as you can kind of see, it creates this natural funnel here to this peak. And if you look over the peak, the first thing you see are two boxes and this big open field. So if we investigate the peak further, we notice that we also took a little drop there so that we don't get stumbled upon onto the beginning of the level again, so we keep progressing forward. You see this box, and I'm going to do what every single one of the level testers did and run right into the box. Um, and so once you run into the box, you learn that these boxes create bridges. And now after you create the bridge, you can go up and you can grab the gun. And now you start shooting the gun and you realize, oh, you can fire things. If you notice, there's these green plants, and these dark green plants kind of show the way of which way you're supposed to go. Because if you look in the distance, way over there, you can see some dark green plants. And if you look over here, you can see some green plants. So now we're going to go over here because we saw not only the green plants, but also this white box. And these white boxes are meant to be kept white. I mean, yeah, they're not textured, but they're also meant to be kept white so that they stick out from everything else much more prevalently. So as we just saw there, and I just kind of glanced over, the user learns to shoot, and they learn that hitting the boxes creates bridges. And so the level testers, without fail, found out immediately, just walked up, hit the boxes. So now we can see, if we just look at this thing, it looks like a jetpack. And if we walk into it, in the bottom right, we can see jetpack fuel. So now, if we hit the fuel, we can go and we can jump finally. And we can also see that our jetpack fuel went down. And if you run out of jetpack fuel, you can't jump anymore. But if you can't jump anymore, then you can go to these stations, and these are jetpack refueling stations. There are jetpack refueling stations and jetpack refueling pods. The pods fill your fuel halfway. The stations fill your fuel all the way. So right now, the way I designed this level was kind of to be open, like an open hub and spoke kind of design. So this area over here is actually where the player is supposed to progress next, which if they went to the first area, they'd naturally progress that way, because that is closer than the way they came, and plus the way they came, they've already traversed it, so they're going to want to explore more. But now I'm going to demonstrate if someone had gone left at the very beginning, they would be confronted by this area. And what this area is at first it doesn't really look like anything, but if you explore more into the green, you see a boat. Excuse the bad texture or the bad modeling. You see a boat. Now, if you go up to the boat, it says boat requires fuel. And so that's a pretty clear message that you can't get off this island until you get the fuel. So now we are going to go, and we are going to try and find fuel. If you also notice, you can either hold the jetpack for a long time, or you can just tap the jetpack for more precise movements. But it still will take half of the jetpack fuel off. So now, so it kind of encourages more longer thought out movements. So now if I start shooting these blocks, I can see these little circles pop out on the bottom. What those are actually pyramids, where on top they are jetpack refueling pods. So if I go up, and I'm not going to make it. That's okay, because we have a checkpoint. So now I can go, and I can get right back on the horse, right over here, and I overshot. Oh, boy. Whoever said level designers had to be good at their levels, right? So now, as we can see, I hit that, and it gave me half my fuel back. Now, those don't spawn all the time, as you see. That one didn't spawn it. That one did. They spawn exactly 50 50% of the time. I have a random boolean that's generated, and if it's true, then they spawn. If it's not, then they don't. This creates kind of like a sense of replayability. Oh my god. Where they might have to take different approaches on the way there and on the way back. So like now, I'm actually going to have to jump down here and miss because I did not have enough fuel to get to the next island. Okay. Okay, got it. As we can see, this looks like a key. And if we look into the background and we grab the key, we can see that that wall is now gone. So if we backtrack and traverse, see now, since that one didn't spawn a gas, I'm choosing not to go to it, because normally I would, but since it didn't spawn gas, I'm going to have to go, I was going to have to go for a Hail Mary. Okay, we're looking good. Players who did play this, it might look like extremely challenging for me, but that's just kind of because I'm bad at at this game. But all the players who did play test, I didn't change anything about that area. They said that it was a lot of fun, and it was the right amount of challenging. So here we have moving platforms, and this is my twist onto the mechanic. So now the platforms the twist is that they move. So now we have to time ourselves even more so than before, and judge our jumps and really calculate them out. Because if we do fall, we go all the way back to the beginning, and this one's quite a journey. So it's definitely a challenge. The reason I made this part so long is because players who did play this said that they wanted this part to be a lot longer, because they said that this part was very challenging, but in a very good way, and they wanted more of it. So that's why. Also, it's just a lot of fun. What I did change on this part is I actually changed how these platforms operate on a code level. They used to have like random ranges. Nailed it. But now they have a set height that they go to at the very top, and a set depth. So now they don't go below the water, because one thing players were saying was that like it was very challenging when a platform would disappear underneath the water, like on their way over to it. I also slowed them down, which makes this part actually manageable. So actually making pretty good progress here. If I can just... Got it. Now we have the gas. As we saw, that was definitely a gas tank right there. Cool. So now we have to make our way back. And the way back is actually going to be a lot more challenging now, because we used so many of those gas things. So we're going to have to pick and choose much more carefully where we go, which is a pretty interesting dynamic, actually. Luckily, we just kind of lucked out with these two platforms being so level to each other. The platforms it's randomly generated whether or not they go up or down at the very beginning, but they're all close enough, and they all pass each other at certain heights, so it's always doable. It's always beatable. That's number one goal of all the things that I did that were kind of randomly generated, was to make it so that it wouldn't break the game. And And I think I did a pretty good job on that. I haven't run into any scenarios where I haven't been able to beat the game in some way, shape, or form. The reason I added the jetpack fuel thing, that design decision, was because of players would, when I didn't have it, they would be able to just continuously jumping and jetpacking across the entire thing, so it pretty much broke it. Where that wasn't that great. So I decided to do away with just the infinite jetpack and instead go for a much more controlled jetpack approach. And I like it. Plus, because it makes it a lot more challenging and you have to actually think about where you're going to go. So yeah, now that we have our jetpack, our not jetpack fuel, boat fuel, we can go to the end of the level. And if we go, we're escaping! And that's it. There's a few warnings, but that's mostly lighting stuff. Yeah. So that's my level. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks.